When Sarah first said she needed space, I thought she meant some time to think, to reflect, maybe even to go on a solo trip. I never expected the words that followed. Michael, she said one evening, her voice calm but distant. I think we should open our marriage. I froze, the glass of water in my hand trembling slightly. Open our marriage? Yes, she continued. You know I love you, but I need freedom too. I need to explore, to meet other people, while still being married to you. If we try this, I promise it won't change how I feel about us. For a moment I couldn't speak. I wanted to scream, to argue, to beg her to reconsider. But instead I nodded. Okay. If that's what you need. I agree. Sarah's eyes widened, surprised by my calm response. Really? She asked. Really? I said, my voice steady. Inside though my mind was racing. I knew what she didn't. Agreeing didn't mean I was okay with it. I was buying time. Time to understand what I was truly willing to tolerate. Over the next few weeks, things got awkward. She started staying out later, texting constantly, smiling at her phone in ways she never did with me. And each time, I reminded myself, stay calm, stay neutral. Let her take the first step. But then came the nights I caught glimpses, a flirtatious text here, a hidden call there. I didn't react immediately. I waited, observing, noting, keeping track. One night, she came home past midnight, eyes bright with excitement, talking about a wonderful evening with someone new. I listened, nodding politely, all while something inside me hardened. By the time Sunday rolled around, I had made my decision. Yes, Sarah, I said quietly but firmly. I agreed to your open marriage. And now I've realized something. I don't want an open marriage. I don't want this marriage if it means losing trust, intimacy, and honesty. So, I'm filing for divorce. Her face fell, disbelief written all over it. Wait, what? You agreed? I agreed to give you space, I said. Not to destroy myself. Sarah froze, staring at me like I had just announced I was moving to another planet. You can't be serious, she whispered, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and disbelief. I am, I said calmly. I agreed to the idea of giving you space, but I didn't agree to lose myself in the process. I didn't agree to watch my marriage crumble while pretending it's okay for someone else to replace me in the ways that matter most. Her hands shook as she paced the living room. You're overreacting. This isn't about destroying the marriage, it's about freedom, about trust. I thought you trusted me. I do trust you, I replied firmly. I trusted you to respect the boundaries of our marriage. And you crossed them before we even had a chance to figure this out. You've been emotionally involved with someone else already. Her lips parted as if to argue, but no words came. She knew I had noticed the little signs. The late-night messages, the secret smiles at her phone, the sudden unexplained outings. I gave you a chance to explore your feelings, I continued. And you've already made your choice. I'm done pretending this is something I can tolerate. I'm filing for divorce. Tears welled in her eyes. Michael, don't be like that. We can fix this. We can make it work. I tried, I said, my voice steady. I tried to be patient, to be understanding, to bend for the sake of us. But bending doesn't work when the other person keeps breaking the structure that holds it together. You wanted space. I gave it to you. And in that space, I realized this marriage isn't for me anymore. Her parents called later that week, furious, insisting I reconsider, threatening to intervene. But I held my ground. I had spent weeks reflecting, observing, and coming to terms with what my life should look like. This wasn't a rash decision. It was a necessary one. Even friends who knew both of us were shocked. You really went through with it? They asked. I nodded. Yes. I had to. I can't lose myself to someone else's version of love. By the time the papers were filed, Sarah was silent, pale, and unsure of how to respond. I felt a mix of sadness and relief. Sadness for what we had lost, relief for the boundaries I had regained. The first court date was tense. Sarah arrived with her lawyer, looking composed but clearly on edge. I sat quietly, reviewing my notes and evidence, messages, emails, and timelines that showed her behavior and the breach of trust. When it was my turn to speak, I kept my voice calm, measured, and factual. I explained the situation. How she had requested an open marriage, how I had initially agreed to give her space, and how her actions had already crossed the boundaries of trust and respect. I didn't shout, I didn't cry. I simply stated the truth. The judge listened intently. Questions came from both sides, but I remained composed. When Sarah's lawyer tried to argue that I had overreacted, I pointed to the documented evidence. Her secret messages, the patterns of deception, the timeline of her emotional detachment. The room grew quiet. After hours of testimony, the judge leaned back and spoke. Mr. Thompson, you have shown that you acted responsibly, thoughtfully, and within your rights to protect yourself and your interests. Mrs. Thompson, your actions show a disregard for marital boundaries and trust. This court grants the divorce in favor of Mr. Thompson, with appropriate division of assets and custody arrangements as requested. Relief washed over me like nothing I had felt in months. It wasn't joy exactly. This was serious, life-altering, painful, but it was closure. I had set my boundaries, defended myself, and the court recognized the truth. Walking out of the courtroom, I felt a sense of freedom I hadn't realized I had been craving. The weight of betrayal, manipulation, and constant tension lifted from my shoulders. I knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Divorces never are, but at least I was moving forward on my own terms. A week later, I moved into my new apartment. The place was modest, quiet, and mine. I unpacked boxes alone for the first time in years, but I felt lighter, stronger. I finally understood something crucial. Self-respect is non-negotiable. Trust cannot be demanded. It must be earned. And if it's broken repeatedly, walking away is the only way to save yourself. Sarah reached out a few times, begging for reconciliation. I read her messages once, then deleted them. There was no anger left, only clarity. I had agreed to give her space, and in doing so, I found the courage to reclaim my life. For the first time in years, I slept without anxiety. I woke without dread. And I smiled again, not because she was gone, but because I had finally chosen myself.